You and I are not the sum of our achievements. We are also not the sum of what we conceive to be our failures. We're both something a lot grander and more expansive than that. We are soul energy. And welcome to Soul Alignment Sessions. Typically, at the beginning of a podcast or a video interview like this, you'll get a list of the guest's achievements, a set of external labels that are supposed to make you buy in and decide that this person is worth listening to. But do you really need to compare yourself to one more person on the internet? Instead, these sessions are about common ground. They're about vulnerability and about opening up to the possibility that beneath the thought narratives that we all carry along, we're all just little bundles of feelings, and underneath those feelings is that soul energy that I referenced, a deep and broad and expansive nature that we can connect to make decisions from a place of being loved, intelligent, and empowered. So join me to meet my next guest.
God, you gotta be light.
I love that we're starting by laughing.
We have to.
We're laughing already.
Laughing therapy, baby.
And it's the perfect invocation. I mean, what better invocation is there than laughter? Because what Katie does, again, my goal here is not to lay a bunch of touch points on someone's CV or resume at the beginning of these sessions, but what Katie does, regardless of what the modality is make people feel brighter and happier and more alive. She's actually the only person that I remember that was ever able to pull off laughter therapy without it feeling like the most contrived, ridiculous, absurd thing that made me roll my eyes. And so do you remember that?
Yeah. I can still do it
on
anytime.
Command.
Yeah,
you just did it to me without telling me you were doing it.
One of my gifts. Yeah.
So mid-COVID, I was running all these online trainings for yoga and movement and meditation, and I brought in visiting experts, and one of them was Katie. And at the end of the session that she offered to my online community, she got us all laughing. And despite myself, I also was laughing. And so the people that I share with you in these sessions are people who have hearts that you can feel. And that's what this is all about. And this one's really special for me because Katie is someone who has helped me connect to my heart over the years through the treatments that she offers in Marma Ayurveda. And you'll see that later. And so here we're going to flip the script a little bit, and Katie has graciously stepped into the space of allowing herself to open up in the context of my work. And that's what we're about to do as we cruise into a soul alignment session. What do you think?
Fuck yeah, it's great. Love it. Let's go.
Yeah. So can I tell them a little bit about our history?
Sorry, I cursed. Yeah, totally.
No, it's okay. Oh wait, actually I want to ask you this. Like, when the first time I came to you guys for a treatment, what did you remember about me? And pull no punches.
God. I mean, I can't remember if you came alone or if you came with.
I think I was sent to you, but I think I came alone first.
I mean, you were just like, you're like the chiseled, shirtless yogi, and I was working with one of those, so it was just like, I was kind of used to it, but I was like, oh my God, just like you need a treatment, you looked like you were in perfect health. But then I remember when we kind of started getting into it with you, it was early in my training when we met you, and I started to understand body type, and it was like a learning process for me still. I was still trying to understand, okay, just because something like a body looks a certain way doesn't mean that everything's perfectly balanced. Yeah. And so, I kind of remember my diagnosis of you.
And what was it?
It was, that just we just wanted you more deeply nourished because your nervous system, especially because I think you were traveling so much at the time and you were in different time zones and you're light body types, you're sensitive, and when you don't have, I feel like you were a little under muscle for your body type at that time. And I think once we started working on you, I kind of got a gauge as you can look really healthy, but that doesn't mean that your nervous system is necessarily relaxed, and sometimes lighter body types, they look a certain way that we're told is how you're supposed to look, but that underneath, if your nervous system is running, kind of at a certain pace or level, or isn't nourished on a certain level.
I remember you guys like very simply explaining to me how healthy tissues, muscle tissues, should have give.
Yeah, and like it shouldn't be tight all the time.
Right,
Yeah.
like you shouldn't be in a constant state of contraction, which is essentially the underlying point of my work, which is to help people like have a gear that they can click into that's expansive, because you know the hard moments are like when the world asks us to contract. It's like when we're hurt or when we're sad or when we're scared. It's like the inclination is to contract. And I think what's so important is that we can go to a place where we're safe, and maybe we even need to like get away from it all for a moment, but that doesn't mean we have to go into a state of contraction. And so the opportunity to feel things, and you know, your work definitely makes people feel things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you thought of us, what you thought of, like, I'm like, here's what you thought of,
Well, that's what's so interesting. I mean, it was definitely an interesting scenario to walk into the top floor of that East Village building, and then all of a sudden you're in like a little ashram. And but I think I knew that I needed help at that point. You know, I was not feeling well, despite externally looking well, and despite all of these choices that I was making that I thought were healthy choices and may have been healthy choices for somebody else, but weren't for me. You know, the intense vegan diet and the very restrictive eating plan, and I wasn't sleeping and my body hurt, and I felt really sad. And it was so wonderful to be in the space and held by people that just reminded me that I'm supposed to nourish myself, you know, and take care of myself, and that might look a little different than what I was being told at the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think when you look a certain way, people reflect, oh, you look great, you look great, you look great, but that doesn't always mean you're feeling great,
Right.
you know? And I think, you know, there's, especially I think at that time in health and wellness, I think we were just limited in what we knew.
It's funny because we're in LA right now, and I think about that a lot in relationship to Los Angeles, which is a place that I find both intoxicating and nauseating. Like, I love it here, and there's a part of me that every time I come back wants to move here, and maybe I will. And so I'm not diminishing Los Angeles, but then there's also this element of like, I think for so many of us, the strengths that we have are also, when employed in excess, become our weaknesses. And I think a place like Los Angeles is like that, because there's this incredible access to like every wellness biohack you could possibly do, but a lot, and those things help you feel better, which maybe up levels your frequencies so that you can handle things and, you know, get on a lifeline of love. But then there's also this element sometimes where I feel like there's so much external organization in the wellness practice, where really what is needed most is to reorganize the interior. And I think that's where your work was so impactful for me, because it really felt like it was outside in, inside.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's inside out, right? And I feel like that, you know, has really been the path for me too, where I was like, okay, it can all look I grew up in a, you know, not far from where you grew up, and it's a certain kind of like, oh, if everything looks good, everything's good on the outside. But that was such I grew up with pain, and so you couldn't see my pain, but I was in chronic pain all the time, and I knew something was wrong. And so I got into all of this because I needed to fix that. So by the time I met you, I was used to seeing the facade because I grew up with those facades, but I was starting to look deeper. And for me, so much of my way that I read people is with my hands and through touch. Like that's really, you know, sound and touch, I would say, are like my strongest senses for that, for reading people. And so by the time I get my hands on the tissue, I can start to feel like okay, like this nervous system needs support, and that's like our deepest root system. It's like the thing that's underneath everything. Right.
And so what you're tapping into and what you're touching in your sensitivity allows you to essentially feel how the engine's running based on touching the hood, which is so cool. And it makes a lot of sense, because the metaphor of a car is like, well, if the car's making a lot of noise, or if it's trembling, then something's going on inside. And another thing, and you just said it, it was interesting because when you were talking, I had this moment of like, oh, thanks. Okay. A little hair. Yeah. That's from my hair. I had a little moment of wanting to lead you into talking about how a lot of your learning has come through the way that you've applied your practice to yourself. Mm-hmm. And then you just said that yourself, right? Which is so cool. No, that was psychic, that was perfect. Okay. Yeah. And it's just another moment of recognizing that like it's better when I don't try to control things.
It's always the goal, right?
And I think a parallel that I've seen between us in our friendship and observing you in your work is that I think that so much of your information has come from the tributaries of the river that you've had to, follow off of it, the source, in order to continue to become more healed yourself and to understand how to be in your own body. And like for me, so much of my work has come from like moments where I realized that I had reached the end of the line in a certain discipline for me, and that it was time to learn something else. And that is something that I've always seen from you. And I think it's a double-edged sword, because it's like, of course you have to learn the general information that you can apply universally, but there's something about like having skin in the game. Yeah. And like really doing what you're doing
for you first and foremost. Yeah, because the way I learned about the nervous system is you can only, like, your nervous system learns through experience. And so from your experience, then you can relate, really. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have the experience, you can only really relate with your mind. You can't really relate in an embodied way. Yeah. And so, I feel like that has been a big, it really has had, for me at least, to come from like, okay, I can't read about something and share it with someone. Like I have to experience it in order to speak from a place of experience, because I really believe your experience becomes your expertise. Like
practice is practical.
Like if you didn't have the injuries and the things that you had, and that led you into your path, it wouldn't resonate with the amount of people that it does, and you wouldn't have that way of working with the body and that nuance because of those experiences in your own body. There's a sensitivity to how you do your work,
And also where my work has taken me in the last few years, where it's been the physical injuries that I've perpetrated upon myself by doing things that I would have never advised a student to do. I mean, they would have been so simple. Just rest, bro. Like you're more than your handstand. Like it's okay, chill, But those purported mistakes have forced me to take a redive into the inner life, and that's where this soul alignment work has come from. I mean, I feel like it's the culmination of everything that I've learned, and I'm excited to kind of share a little taste of it with you. So can we dive into that please. Now? Okay. So the first thing that we do is I want to connect with you and do a clearing.
Okay, so great. Cool clear me away.
Yeah. So would you uncross your legs? You can have one tucked in like me and uncross your arms. Yeah, I mean, even stick that one out all the way over there. Yeah, like just so that we're like uncrossed. Yeah, that's okay. We can have a foot. We can have like a foot flapping in the in the camera. Yeah. Are you comfortable like that? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So put your tongue on the roof of your mouth.
Okay, we'll try not to.
I know. We'll try not to laugh. We have to close our eyes so we don't laugh.
Okay.
Okay. Put your tongue on the roof of your mouth. And notice how as soon as you put your tongue on the roof of your mouth, you can follow your inhale down into your belly. It's like you get in the elevator at the top and just ride the elevator out of your mind down into your belly. And feel the experience of breath deep down in your belly. And if you notice yourself going up to mind, again, get in the elevator and take a ride down into your basement. And control your breath just enough that you feel that it stays down and that the exhale is easy, just to the height of your own internal atmosphere, without pushing it out or grabbing on it to pull it in. And while you're here, connect with the first element that exists in your life for which you feel gratitude. It can be anything, a person, a place, your home, your pet, your mom, your dad, your lover, your brother, your sister. Experience the felt sense of gratitude without trying to expand it. Imagine that you could breathe into every pore in your skin, into every cell in your body, and allow for the natural expansion of the feeling of gratitude as if there's a sun shining inside you. And while you rest in gratitude, I will connect and clear. Okay, and may I balance, harmonize, and properly energize your energy centers?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, as we do this, I'm going to do some energetic scanning, and I'm going to walk you through a little meditation. Okay. So bring your awareness to your crown, the top of your head. And at the top of your head, affirm, I am, I and my soul are one. And bring your awareness to your forehead. And affirm, kingdom of the mind. The mind is a kingdom. Bring your awareness to your third eye and your throat. And affirm, I praise my soul. It's like Walt Whitman, I sing the song of myself. Bring your awareness to your heart center and affirm, heart is a kingdom. Like in the Lord's Prayer, thy kingdom come. Bring your awareness down into your solar plexus and affirm willpower, willfulness, and willingness. And bring your awareness to your navel and affirm, earth and heaven are one, and I am one with great nature. Bring your awareness to your spleen on the left side of your belly and affirm nourishment, affirm experience becomes insight. Bring your awareness to the base chakra, the bottom energy center at the base of your hips, and affirm, I forgive others as I forgive myself. And as you do that, move your energy upwards from the base of you, up the back of your body, back of heart, into your crown. Affirm forgiveness and feel the lightness at your crown. Bring your awareness to your sex chakra in the front of your pelvis. And affirm, my creative energy is good. And my creative energy is powerful. And bring your awareness up to your throat, past your heart to your throat. Affirm creativity and service. Drop down into your base chakra again, at the base of your pelvis, at your perineum, and affirm, life is my kingdom. Go to your spleen, affirm, my life force is powerful. And then go right behind your navel and your spine, bring your awareness there, and affirm, life is glorious. And then go up the back of your body and to the crown of your head. And you can silently, once you're up there, whatever you feel more comfortable with, either chant Om or Amen. And then when you're ready, open your eyes.
Cool.
How do you feel?
Great.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions just to see that you're calibrated. So this is just like, you
What
do.
if I answer wrong?
What's that? You can't, because it's really just to see if, if it worked.
Okay, cool.
Right? So I'm just going to muscle test you. But I like that.
Tells you a lot,
Yeah,
right?
it does. Totally. Okay, so I'll just say my name is Katie. You say that. Yeah, my name is Katie.
My name is Katie.
Okay. And say my name is Jill.
My name is Jill.
Okay, so I'm just muscle testing to see
Where did that come from?
I just made Jill up. Does that...
I'm going to see a Jill later.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Weird.
I'm not giving myself any credit for that one.
Well, I feel like that's an alignment.
Yeah, I honestly, to be totally honest, I often use Jill as like the random name that I say to see if people are aligned or not.
It meant something to me. Okay.
I know. I just feel like I can't own what I didn't. You know what I mean? What I didn't buy.
That's crazy. Okay.
How do you feel from the alignment process?
Buzzy, like in a good way. Like I feel expansive.
Yeah. How's your heart?
I mean, my heart's been feeling pretty good lately.
Yeah.
So,
It feels charged.
Yeah, I'm like really in it lately.
And how are you feeling about like work-related stuff? Has it been easy, challenging?
Slowly starting to shift.
Yeah, because I felt that. It felt like heart was very strong, and sex, money, food, power zone was a little like, wait a second, like I want to catch up to the heart. Does that resonate?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Us being me.
Us.
Yeah.
I mean, how many yous are there?
There's I have some personalities.
Yeah, I mean, I go up and down with work stuff all the time, and I am definitely coming out of like another dip that I've had recently. But I feel like I'm starting to come out of it. Like in the last 10 days, 2 weeks, I'm starting to feel a shift. Just when it gets quiet, I start to question.
Yeah.
Like when I'm actually doing my service and I'm in it and I'm busy, I feel fucking awesome.
I know that.
And then the second things get quiet, I'm like, I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And then it gets into fear and like old programs, and I'm like, so I'm just coming out of a fairly like uncomfortable lull.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's so interesting because, Los Angeles caught on fire, and your work is so personal, and, it's normal that you would experience a lull there, but this kind of like perfectly leads into my next question, which is, so you've got this powerful heart, and then there's this feeling of unsurety around the basic human needs that relate to your work. And so if you could nail down a concise narrative that you've been perpetuating recently, that is a story that you have or a feeling that you have about yourself that has nothing to do with your worth as a soul, but something that's like where's the struggle been in that piece?
I think my lifelong theme that has been like resurfacing now again has been that my worth as a soul has been connected to doing instead of being. And so when I'm not doing something, then I feel like what's the point? Why am I here? You know? Because then I'm like on an intellectual level and like on some level in me, I feel like this is the first time in my whole life, this time feels like the time I was born to be alive for. My whole life I felt like I was out of time space. I felt like I'm born in the wrong time. And it's only been recently, like in the last few years, but really even more in a stronger way in the last couple months, and like as time keeps creeping, like I feel it more and more and more, where I'm like, this is the time I was meant for, so why is where is the block? Why is everything not flowing externally? After, you know, because I feel so like I spend years, especially the last 6 years, really deeply trying to unblock everything I could internally so that I could basically magnetize my life to me from the inside, because prior to that I was doing it outside in, and then everything fell apart, so I felt like it was a good opportunity to start, because I lost everything, so I was like, I'm going to start this over and do this from the inside out.
Is there an idea that you have that I've done enough of this work, could it just work now? Yeah.
Because there were times when it has, and then it just goes through times where it doesn't. And when it doesn't, I wish I could rest in the ebb, but the fear of survival, like the baseline survival fears that come up for me. So what do you, when you have that experience of fear, what does your psyche make it mean about you or the circumstance? That I did something, and I'm wrong.
Right.
Yeah, I'm wrong.
Yeah. And how does that feel in your body?
Familiar.
Like welcoming an old friend.
It's like that melancholia, you know, that you're just like, no you. I mean, it doesn't feel good. It's like a stagnancy, you know.
Have you ever heard of the concept of the big sad?
No, but I am like a big sad.
Okay, so, all right, so I've been using this recently. So my big sad, his name is Moosey.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, he's like a sad moose, and he like mooses in, and he's like, my antlers aren't quite big enough.
Yeah, it's like you are, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
What you want to name your big sad?
I don't know why Sylvia just came up, but she just popped in. Aww. It's that Sylvia Plath kind of thing. Okay. I don't know, and I don't remember.
What are some of her characteristics?
I don't.
It doesn't have to be Sylvia Plath.
Okay.
Just like, no, yours. I want to know about
like, I don't know even that much about Sylvia Plath.
I want to know about your Sylvia.
She's just like
when she shows up, how does she feel? Like what's her?
It's just malaise. It's like a malaise. There's a melancholy. There's a stagnancy. There's a yearning. There's a unrequited feeling. There's a love and longing, like kind of vibe. Yeah. Just like I'm never gonna.
Will this ever be resolved?
Yeah. It's like deeply existential.
Yeah.
Like deeply.
So it's almost like the narrative is that the only, like you've made yourself believe that only if you keep doing a good job will you be at peace.
Yeah.
Right.
And I know on an intellectual level, like that's not the truth, you know.
But maybe it's not about knowing on an intellectual level.
Of course, it's about experiencing something different.
Can I muscle test you for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna muscle test myself and just say it to you. So
like that I just jammed my hand.
Yeah. Test me now. I just looked like Elon Musk.
Great.
We'll just move on from that. It was not a political statement. Really everybody can benefit from soul alignment. Honestly, you know, if everyone were to see themselves as loved, intelligent, empowered, then on all sides there would just be less fight.
Agreed.
You know?
Totally.
And that's, you know, sometimes I think it's so easy, like, because we work a lot one-on-one, both of us, it's so easy to be like, well, what am I really doing? You know? But yeah. So hold on just for a moment. Okay. So just say, unless the world tells me I'm doing a good job, I can't be at peace.
Unless the world tells me I'm doing a good job, I can't be at peace.
Okay, so that's very strong. So now we're doing this is like a litmus test.
Great.
So I would like to pull, cancel, and delete that program from you, and then you can see if like how you feel.
Yeah,
okay, so
please.
hold on for a moment. Yeah, just
Take it away.
Stay in that receptive state.
Okay.
That tongue on the roof of the mouth, breathing, and gratitude. You connect right back into gratitude. Okay, say, only if the world tells me I'm doing a good job can I be at peace.
Only if the world tells me I'm doing a good job, I can be at peace.
Okay, do you feel how it gets a little bit weaker?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not as real.
Mm-hmm.
It puts you a little distance between you and the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you another question.
Okay.
When you really look deep and ask yourself, is that narrative the sum total of who I am?
Heck no.
Heck no.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So hold on for a moment
Okay.
here. Say my conception of success is limited to how much I work.
My conception of success is limited to how much I work.
That's quite strong. Can we pull, cancel, and delete that one?
Yeah, and how hard I work.
Yeah, I was just about to say you're such a hard worker.
Yeah.
You know?
It's an old program.
Yeah, totally.
And I would like that to
Well,
go
shall
away.
I heal you instantly?
Yes,
from that?
please.
So, I mean, look, the reality is it's like, you know from our work,
Yeah.
It's like you feel a little shift, but then the magic is if
Snowballs.
you remember the sensation and use your neurology as a map to staying on the right trajectory as opposed to going back onto that other trajectory. That's why I'm so excited that I'm going to get a treatment from you, because you're going to I'm going to get 100 insights from you, right?
I love it.
So, okay, how did I phrase it? Hold on a moment. Let's just say I have a frame of reference for loving myself regardless of how much and how hard I work.
I have a framework for loving myself regardless of how hard or how much I work.
Okay, can we download that statement for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a framework for loving myself regardless of how much or how hard I work.
Oh, that feels more resonant.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I'm glad you feel it.
Yeah.
It's like you do this work and you hope it
never know.
works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you just do your best. So, moving along here, right? Like if you were to know yourself, if you were to choose to know yourself as loved, intelligent, and empowered, how else could you respond when you experience that narrative?
Like the Sylvia narrative?
Yeah, the Sylvia narrative, or the whole I'm not working enough to love myself.
I mean, it's just what I try to do is just be graceful about it and just surrender to it, because I know there's a wisdom in it that it's still, it's like if I'm still experiencing it, then there's something I haven't learned yet.
So essentially what you're saying is if you were choosing to see yourself as loved, intelligent, and empowered, you could experience not only the grace that you get from the efforts that you make, but the grace that you receive from the lessons that happen when you make efforts and they don't come to the fruition that you thought they might come to.
Yeah. I've definitely had a lot of beat up around am I a failure? Even though I know that success is really just if I'm learning I'm successful. I have that as but there's still a part of me that's is it ever going to work? Or am I just always going to be are any of my efforts ever going to are any of the seeds that I've planted ever going to grow? So
what about all the efforts that you've made, not only to educate yourself, but to work with others? How can those efforts manifest in this moment as a way to experience this ebb differently?
I think it's the grace.
The grace.
Because it's that's always what I come back to is if I can just have more grace for myself in those ebbs, then they usually are just not as, I'm not judging myself on top of the feelings that I already have.
What does grace mean to you in light of this? Be really specific.
It's really not judging and beating myself up for feeling that way, because I think there's
So it's like welcoming Sylvia.
Yeah.
Was it Sylvia or Sylvia?
Sylvia, yeah.
Welcoming Sylvia and being like, hey, what do you want to do today?
Totally. And we mostly lay around. Like, we don't do a lot.
Okay.
You know, play with my machines.
Okay.
Like, make steak, sit by the fire.
Okay.
Like, I keep it pretty chill.
So this is a big one for me because I'm not very good at resting.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to enjoy rest instead of half rest.
Yeah.
Like that thing where you're like, I'm resting, but I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And guilt is toxic.
Well, and that's the part I want to have grace for. It's the guilt. It's the guilt of like, I don't deserve to rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So give yourself grace when that pattern emerges and welcome it with love, just like you would welcome Sylvie.
Sylvia.
Sylvia. Why do I keep saying Sylvia?
Because in my head I'm also like, is it Sylvie? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. She has 2 names.
So you can welcome Sylvia with love and give her the grace and give your guilt grace and ask yourself for forgiveness for ever believing that you had to make yourself feel guilty. Can we do that?
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guilt is so interesting because it's one of the reasons that really like not so great people sometimes become very powerful because they're not limited by guilt. So they're not energetically limited by guilt. But if you're a person with a conscience and integrity, there's a tendency to limit yourself with guilt because you feel like, you know, why should you deserve to rest if you haven't succeeded this week?
Yeah.
And the important thing is that the success is coming in how you relate to the same emotions that you had in the past differently. Like that is a success because that empowers you then to do next week better.
Totally.
And that's worthy of your time.
Yeah.
So what's the, like, if you get stuck in the pattern, what's the payoff?
Well, there's still something to learn.
What's the negative payoff? Like, let's say you allow the pattern to perpetuate.
Okay.
Like, what does the pattern get out of it?
Well, it gets my energy.
It gets your energy.
Yeah, it gets all. And it's distracting me from what I not should be, but it distracts me from what I could be doing.
Right, which is what? Giving yourself grace. Yeah.
Being
totally
graceful.
Yeah.
And like being with myself the way I am with others, which has been so much of my my lifelong practice.
Yeah.
You know.
What are a couple of ways that you embody grace with others so that they can experience grace themselves?
I really work on non-judgment, and it's.
Do you see what I'm
interesting.
doing to you right now? Yes.
Do you want me to go for
you
it?
You work on non-judgment, yeah. Okay, that would be nice for you also. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I only could be less judgmental and critical of other people when I had to turn that in on myself. And then as I turned that in on myself, I was able to hold that better with other people. So it was almost like I had to experience someone not judging me in some dark places for me to internalize that experience.
Sure.
Because my only experience and something that was like a pattern growing up was internalizing external judgment and criticism.
Right.
And so then that's what I was projecting, even if it was in more subtle ways.
Do you feel like you judge yourself on
Everything.
Yeah, I feel like you judge yourself on not having completely reconciled everything yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's maybe a place to give yourself some grace.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, it just there's a part of my mind that's always been way farther ahead than my body.
Yeah.
And so it's like letting my lived experience. It's like I observe. I say people are my books, and so I've gotten to observe really incredible, expansive experiences of other people, and that has given me great wisdom.
And the way that you've given those people those experiences is held space for them to have those experiences, which is what perhaps you could do with yourself, because grace needs a container.
Yeah.
And so... Yeah, Katie.
It's, I'm working it out, but there's a part of my mind that thinks I should be always in a different place than where I am. It's always like there's a moving target, and I've never let myself really just... I mean, there's moments, but they're not very
What do those
long.
moments feel like?
They feel good.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like, even if it's like a dark thing, I'm like, wow, I'm proud of myself, you know?
Yeah.
It feels like a healthy kind of pride of just like, wow, I handled that way better than I would have 6 months ago.
Do they feel like grace?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have grace in you.
I do.
And you experienced grace before?
Yeah.
And you're ready to experience more grace now?
Yeah.
That's so exciting. I consider you to be a healer.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother session.
Yeah, well, you lead people in the direction of their own healing. They get insights. And you're essentially you're like a grace dealer. And then you're just asking yourself for a taste of your own medicine.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I really appreciate you opening up and sharing your process with me and your challenges with me, because nobody's an archetype. We're all just out there trying to fit.
Totally.
Yeah. And I'm excited to get a little Marma Ayurveda beat up from you.
Heck yeah.
How do you feel?
Great.
Yeah.
Graceful.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like I feel like I got into the vibration of that by the end.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Like I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
It's like one of those. Yeah. So the way that we finish
is not by
just,
crossing our bodies.
No, we can just open up a little bit and just plug into that feeling of grace and connection and the ease. It's really like it kind of feels like an I can do it. And then if you don't mind, repeat after me and say, I permanently accept, receive, and retain.
I permanently accept, receive, and retain
these healings and energies.
These healings and energies.
I know how to move forward from here.
I know how to move forward from here.
And I do so safely, rapidly, and properly.
And I do so safely, rapidly, and properly.
Okay, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, should we hug it out?
It's been so long.
I was just gonna say I'm smiling because it just immediately brings me back.
Still a little tight.
Yeah, a little bit.
For me, getting to do that, it's like, it feels like such an honor, because I know, I think some of us in our own families are like the bloodline cleaner of the family, like the experience of being around people, because each person I get to touch, it's medicine for me too. I'm sure you have had that experience too.
Yeah.
It's like I don't read books, people are my books. They teach me life, every person. And so when I get to work in a family system, it's teaching me that particular, it's like bringing you into a culture. They literally are a culture of themselves. I mean, touching people is like a huge responsibility, and it's the most porous, like when you're doing more energetic work, you're still interacting with people's fields, but you're not physically in their density. It's very different.
Of course, I feel exhausted from that. You know what I mean? Whereas sometimes with the energetic stuff, it's a little more subtle. It's like, wait, oh yeah, that's right. I did all that.
Totally. Like your body better than anyone.
Yeah.
You don't need me to tell you. But the liquids can help. Fun.
So it's sort of like checking boxes instead of expressing my joy through movement. Yeah. That makes sense?
Totally.
How's that in there?
A little tight. You're a little tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Once you've had something, like he had cancer, he's like, my body has a memory for cancer, but I don't have cancer. It's only when I go into a certain stress state, and then that's the that are going to start talking again, because they have a memory. They do have a memory, but you can work it to the point where you can reverse out of the memory. My teacher would say, if you have the fire in your heart, you can do anything. If you have the desire, you will attract and magnetize every support that you need to help you. It's definitely something.
It's just so interesting to experience the intensity of this, but also feel the love behind it because of the trust, and I think that's something that relates to the resonance of someone who has skin in the game, really. The ancient and your ability to distill it for people.
But through working with people and being in my own experience of my own pain for just over 2 decades of my life. And when I started doing this work, Marma is a martial art and a healing modality. Most ancient, traditional, indigenous healing systems are usually connected to a martial art, because they're two sides of the same coin. Ayurveda is the science of life. It's also the science of death. When you eat something, you're killing it because you're changing it, you're transforming it. It goes from food, it turns into soil. Let's turn you over.
Okay.
Doing great.
Thank you.
Your unconscious mind is really just concerned with where you are in time space. Because if you can get present, then you don't have to be in a fight or flight state. So to keep that fresh, I can work my frequency and keep, the more work I do on myself, the more I clear myself, the better and more clear of a vessel I become, the more I have to give,
And for me, the big relearning, has been that that's what makes the most impact. It's not about a specific skill or a drill or a certain physical capacity or anything. It's just
presence.
The space that is created that's strong but gentle and kind.
There you go.
Thank you so much for the treatment.
Thank you so much for my soul alignment.
You're so welcome.
That was so good.
I think, what I feel that I am going to take away from this, which is what I always take away from being with you, is just the love and the lightness that balances the intensity of the work, and just feeling loved. And it sounds so cliche, but just feeling loved and okay with who I am, because I have so much respect for you, and I was able to hold space for you, and then it just being able to exchange this way was so cool. And just also something that I'm just constantly reminded of, which is just the power of friendship and investing in friendship. I feel like my friends are like the stars.
The puppy agrees.
Yeah. The power of friendship. I feel like my friends are stars in the sky, and they're all over the place, but it's worth it to continue investing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to come up to Montana.
You sure do.
I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I similarly feel like my people are like stellium thrown out all over the universe, but it's such a gift when it feels like no time has passed. And then also I can get to witness the growth that has happened from time to time. And it was so nice to receive from you, because I really never let you do that.
Yeah.
Ever.
I know.
And so for me, that's a growth, because I'm trying to receive more. So it felt really nice to be able to do that. And you hold such a good, healthy space, and it felt really safe and easy. And let's do more of that.
Yeah.
I want more. Which
That's
feels so
wonderful.
good. And it's yeah, it's like coming home because I feel like we've known each other a long time now.
Yeah.
So it's like nice to have that touch in, you know.
Well, it's all very meaningful to me.
Same.
Thanks.
Family.